Hello, friends new and old.
Hello.
I'm so happy that you guys are here. What a fantastic group to carve out the next chapter of Candela Obscura with. The beauty of this is I don't really know where we're going yet either, and we're going to figure that out at the table together today. It's cool if you don't know what you intend to be role-playing as or what you're exploring completely right now, but by the end of today, that's the goal. Although, again, it doesn't have to be set in stone, but we're going to help each other figure out who each of you are and who you are together. I've been noodling and steeping myself in the lore since my own turn in one of those chairs for the last chapter of Candela, and I've kind of fallen in love with the game and the world and the lore, and I hope you guys do too. The thing about Candela that I like after playing other tabletop games is that it is rules light and role play heavy. So what that means, what my biggest hope is that all of us sort of spin a web together. I obviously will go off into a basement and like prepare ideas and things for you to deal with on my own, but I can't really do that until I know who we all are. And even at the table, there's going to be a lot of times where probably I throw to you and say, what are you thinking, feeling in that moment? But I don't need you to wait for my permission. There will be rolls, dice will be rolled in a way to let you know if you are succeeding or failing, or if bad things are happening to you in any given moment. But really, I just want us to surprise each other. I'll surprise you guys. But surprise each other and dig in and have really great role-playing performative moments. So just to have that in mind. Also with Candela, we're clearly shooting for a vibe here. So what I'd recommend, I love jokes and laughter, but I think for Candela, rather than aiming to come in guns blazing with jokes, which can sometimes make it hard to like get that mutual shared buy-in for the stakes and the tension, just let's all agree, let's make a pact here today to sort of have the collective delusion of horror together. And the jokes will come as a much needed pressure valve release. It's fun to sort of slip into the vibe of Candela. What else? What else? The mechanics of the game, now I'm just gonna kind of gush about the game. I'm gonna kill some or all of you. Just gonna get that out now.
How about that?
That's all I have.
Okay? Maybe you'll survive.
In the game.
Sure.
Up to you.
I got a dog wheel.
So far, in past chapters, no one has died before episode 3. I'm going to see if I can buck that trend.
Oh, man.
Boy.
If you do die earlier, it's not because I don't like you. It's just the nature of living and working in New Fair and Old Fair underneath. Right, I was gushing about the mechanics and how they help out. A big part of what I loved about the role-playing in Candela and using the system is the marks and the scars. So if you come at this game with the intention of going, I'm going to win at the numbers part, and I'm going to roll, and I'm going to study these character sheets and like maximize my efficiency, you're not going to have a lot of fun. You're going to take marks, you're going to take scars, you're going to have sort of mental scarring, you're going to get wounded, and there will be magical bleed from things that have come out of Old Fair or through the veil. But when those moments happen, I encourage you not to take them as, why am I holding 2 pencils? I don't know.
You're going to throw one at us?
I encourage you to take those as opportunities and not as punishment, because you can take 4 scars in this game, and once you get to the 4th scar, you're out of the story. Now, I could one-shot you as well. That's an option. Damn. Alex.
I'm expecting it now. Going out first 15 minutes.
Die during character creation.
He has other plans. So
But really, those little rows of scars that you will take, when you take 4 marks, from one of those categories, you take a scar, and if you're in the middle of a fracas, you're down. That can mean many things. We'll decide in the moment. It's case by case. Maybe you are knocked unconscious. Maybe you are completely withdrawn and just can't deal anymore, but you're out of the scene. Once that scene is resolved and we've moved on in some fashion narratively, you take a scar, decide creatively, you as a performer, if that scar is internal, if it is a wound, what it does to you as a character, and then your character sheet will change a little bit too. And I really came to appreciate taking each of those scars as just a creative narrative beat. So again, if you go down in the middle of something happening, like, try to survive. Obviously, try not to get knocked down. But when it does, just know that you've been teed up for a great turn in the story until you get to your fourth scar, and then I'm going to ask you to leave the table and drive home.
Drive home. Can we get stay for the free snacks?
Yeah, one of those snacks.
Yeah, right.
Oh my god.
The whole fridge.
Get a Skittle.
I also really love the setting of Candela because it is a great sort of one dimension off of our own. We're in the early 1900s. It is very analogous to our own world at that time. We are post-war. The last Great War ended 3 years ago, so it is fresh in everyone's mind. It's very much akin to World War I with magic in ways that people suspect or are known. The war was started by another country called Otherwhere across the sea. It was kicked off so we are in the city of New Fair in a country of Hale, and Hale is one of multiple countries in a larger alliance. And across the ocean, across the vast chasm, which is something I'll get back to in a minute, is another country called Otherwhere. It's referred to as Otherwhere by the people here in New Fair. And they were the aggressors. And they came right up to our door, basically. They came around the vast chasm, which naturally is a huge chasm in the middle of the sea that they couldn't get around. And they skirted around that and came up on one flank of the city. And New Fair ended the war by, it's shrouded in mystery, but they used some sort of electrical equivalent of a nuke that wiped out Otherwhere's forces and New Fair's forces all in one, and left an entire area outside what was once part of New Fair is a wasteland. Like, it is toxic. You can't go out there. Westrek.
Mm-hmm.
Which used to be, before it was called Westrek, it's called Westrek now. It was a neighborhood of New Fair, and now it's don't go there.
It was a prosperous neighborhood, right? It was a pretty well. It was like a thriving.
You might know better than me. It's possible. It was. I don't know. We'll find that together.
A prosperous neighborhood, wasn't
it? Overall, though, the city of New Fair and the world that you guys are living in has both supernatural issues as well as very real world ones. So the war and its effects are still very much on everyone's minds. We live in a country that is basically ruled by something referred to as the triumvirate, which are the three legs of power, three corners of power on the triangle, and that which are the police, the government, and the church, but in our world are called the ascendancy for the church, the periphery for the police force, and the primacy for the government. And guess what? They're corrupt, which is something we can all relate to and understand. And magic is something, and phenomenon and the supernatural are not commonly familiar to 99.9% of the population. It's chalked up to superstition, rumor. You guys are playing some of those select few who have had a handful of indisputable encounters with the weird, the supernatural. You know, in a minute, we'll kick off here and just start noodling on the stories that you guys want to tell. And you are creating starring roles for yourself, so I encourage you to do so. But as you're doing so, think of like these very real-world analogies and how maybe your story fits into the political landscape, the city's landscape, or to the presence of history under New Fair, which is the thousands-year-old city of Old Fair. So New Fair is this burgeoning early 1900s Art Deco bustling city built on the bones of something akin to ancient Rome. So about 2,000 years ago, I think it's 1900, as Old Fair was reaching its zenith, there was a great ruler known as Aimee, and she saw the Old Fair reach, great heights through the use of magic, through alchemical exploration, and then Aimee disappears off the map in history, and a man named Calenus took over briefly, and soon after that, the fall came. No one knows exactly what happened. But people within Candela, people who are in the know about this other side of reality, believe that Old Fair flew too close to the sun with its use of magic, and it brought on some great calamity. So great, in fact, that the sea split open, and there is just a huge rift in the sea where both sides are spilling into it.
That's the chasm.
That's the vast chasm, correct. And that led to Old Fair falling and collapsing and then getting just drowned. And then Old Fair was forgotten for many, many, many centuries. And then through the shifting of history and different peoples of the world, a new populace moved into the area and began to build on the mostly hidden remains of Old Fair. So Old Fair is still very much a part of the city. It is poking up in a few places. There's one neighborhood called Groundswell, which is pretty close to the sea, where parts of the old structures stick up in abundance. They're mostly blocked off by the police, by the periphery. But it's this whole other world that exists underneath. And a lot of people are accustomed to parts of ancient Rome, sort of like tickling the bottom of their city. Yeah. But there's much more to it that has been plumbed to a certain degree, with much more known, feared to be down there. So it's kind of like you're living in a city where you're dealing with all of this political change and the effects of war, while sitting on top of the mistakes of the past and God knows what. And that's the world we live in. I guess that's a pretty good rambling preamble.
Nice. The last chasm.
Ramble.
Sea sway.
I really am excited that the five of you are here.
I'm very excited.
I'm so excited.
So I think we'll go, here's what we're going to do. Okay. We're going to start with you, Alex, and we're going to move around the table. We're going to go character by character. You don't have to know every single thing. I watched one player come in here and do a one-man show for 20 minutes.
I've heard about this.
And some people go like, I think I want to be a sneaky guy.
Yeah.
So there's no right or wrong, and it will slowly get fleshed out and become living and breathing. But we'll start story by story, and then we're going to open up and say, well, how do you two know each other? Or you three know each other? Who is she to you? Why are you in Candela? What is it that drives you to go sticking your nose into a lion's mouth on a yearly basis? Yeah.
Okay.
Why is that?
Why is that? Well, I have a couple of character ideas, kind of depending on what other people wanted. I didn't want to step on anybody's toes, so I thought of a few people, and also depending on what has come before, I also don't want to be another magician with a brothel. So my first idea is I wanted to do a scholar doctor. But do a sort of, I guess the best way to describe it is do it like an operating theater surgeon, who is dealing with the effects of and studying the effects of bleed on the human body post-mortem, and doing vivisections and things like that, and trying to find a way to have human bodies adapt to bleed. and see if that's something that can be done, and is his focus right now due to the fact that when they were in their probably late teens, his sister was exposed to a high degree of bleed and just kind of vaporized, disappeared. Next to him, just...
Oh.
And so...
It's a pretty good motivator.
He's trying to find a way to stop that from happening to others and find a way to almost see if there's a way for human bodies to metabolize bleed.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Did anyone believe him?
It's a missing persons case as far as anyone else is concerned, but he knows that basically, to his eyes, she became almost like her shadow and her reversed. So next to him was just standing a shadow and then just faded away.
Well, I like that.
Okay.
I don't think you need to. I mean, we can change our minds as we get through the entire line, but I please do what excites you.
Okay. I mean, that's my first choice.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Okay. How about you, Amy?
So I was really interested. Sorry, I have laryngitis at the time of recording. But I was really interested in like the spiritualism movement of this time, at least in our world, and I'm assuming that maybe in this world that might have been something of interest to people too, as they sort of kind of moved away from organized religion, especially after war. There's so many like questions like, how can a god let this happen, or whatever they're chosen, and kind of maybe try to connect to something else that's maybe more spiritual or magical or whatever. So I like that idea. And then I sort of had this idea of maybe like a young girl during the war losing her parents and traveling from otherwhere. But now that you say there's a big chasm, I don't know if they're refugees from that war. I don't know. But like the idea of like, she came here and it was just her. She had no skills, or it's like a young person, and she was taken in by this wealthy family, or maybe just like two wealthy people that live together, as a maid, like a very kind of like, you know, something you would trust, I don't know, a 14-year-old to do or whatever, like clean their daughters or their sons, whatever. And I think the people that own this house are like artifacts dealers. And I think they sort of collect and also like via the black market sell like rare magic items, you know, under the table kind of thing, but like to very wealthy people. And I think that this is where my character maybe realized she had this gift, which kind of feels like a curse, which is she's able through very specific like items to sort of channel deceased spirits who are like desperate to be released from whatever bond holds them to that item or whatever. I think the people that own this house, her employers, realize that, and we can talk about what the catalyst was, but they realize she has this thing, and so they sort of use her as a kind of like a perk to the buyer. It's like, you want to buy this like ancient mummy or whatever, like I know people used to do in like the 20s and whatever. They used to like, you know, steal mummies from Egypt and like sell them to like wealthy collectors or whatever in the States or in Europe. And you not only you get this mummy, but you also get like a reading, and it's free with the price of whatever. So she's sort of like being used. And I think by now she's probably in her, you know, early 20s or maybe like late teens. She's an adult at this point. But I think this is how she came to this realization, and she's sort of like using her gift in a way that she doesn't like, you know, which is kind of like a trick pony kind of way. And I think over the years, I think she came to Candela Obscura to try to find a way to release these people, right? So like she still hasn't stopped doing her day job, but I think she's looking for a way to put the suffering of these deceased souls that sometimes we encounter in this work to rest, not just close the case, but also like make sure they're in a good place at the end of, you know, whatever bleed or whatever thinning we're shutting down or whatever it's called, you know.
I'll bounce back with you. Let me know what you think of some of this stuff. We absolutely can make her from someplace other than Hale or New Fair if you want. There's also the option of the area outside of New Fair that got destroyed during the war.
Totally.
She could be from there. She could also be from another. So Hale, which New Fair is in, is one of multiple countries. So she could be from just the neighboring country. And we're also in a time, I didn't touch on this at all, but we're kind of in a start of a mini ice age happening in the world as well. And New Fair is in this one rarely temperate area, which is why it is so prosperous, is because it is not affected the way other parts of the world are. And so some people could just be showing up from other parts of the country because they're freezing to death out there. Totally. So I think we can figure that out. We'll noodle that out in time.
Yeah.
As far as working for curio dealers, an option could be there is an organization in the lore of Candela called the Red Hand.
Yes.
And they are high-level, fancy smugglers and dealers of things like that. So it's kind of fun to think of the Red Hand taking advantage of this refugee to sort of sweeten the deal and show their premier service when they're dealing with very special clients. And the one thing I would say is probably Candela's not known. Right. So someone would have approached you. Yeah. And absolutely a member of Candela could have come through for
Could that have happened? Okay.
Or, sorry.
Please go ahead.
I was gonna say, or maybe she freaked out and someone found out accidentally and witnessed it, and she had no idea, and someone actually witnessed it happen, and now it could have been it could have been by a freak accident.
Or maybe also like whatever buyer came. I don't know like how deep Candela goes as far as like, are they trying to expose the Red Hand, or are they kind of just
They're aware of the Red Hand, and I think that they sometimes their aims are at odds, but Candela is about finding and containing things within the Fourth Pharos, which is the first time I'm mentioning that at the table. If you guys aren't familiar yet, Candela operates out of sort of an extra-dimensional home base. It's called the Fourth Pharos, that it is not in this world. And many chapter houses, although not exclusively in chapter houses, have doorways into this place. So when something that some artifact or thing is found that is bleeding a deadly level of magical bleed, or would be dangerous in the wrong hands, Candela's aim is to secure it and lock it away, not in this world.
Right.
Behind the astrolabe, right?
Yeah. This one specifically.
So maybe like the Red Hand, or these people are dealing in kind of like things that aren't going to kill people, but just like, right? Is there that level of magic too, which is like grandma's ruby or whatever? And like,
sure.
I don't know.
And I think even like there's, I'm jumping all over the place. On character sheets, which we'll get to in a bit, there's a whole section for gear. And there are things known as bleed containment vials, bleed detectors, which there's no uniform look or design, or I think I see these people who are exploring this ancient city beneath and encountering the things they are, sometimes finding a 1,500-year-old charm.
Yes.
And carrying that around, and it wards off evil spirits, there's bits of that. So what I want to explore in our chapter is real people dealing with real things, but they are finding little tastes of magic and carrying it with them through the world.
I'm guessing like the stuff she's encountered is pretty low level, but to her it's so awful to sort of, like, did you ever see that movie? What's that movie that came out? But they Talk to Me or whatever.
We started watching that shit right off.
Which one?
It's
Talk
to Me. It's a horror movie called Talk to Me.
I haven't seen it yet.
This hand. It's like this dead hand. It's like an artifact of some sort, whatever. It was like a mystic's hand that someone cut off like years and years ago. And so like somehow it's ended up in like suburbia. And like all these kids, like if they touch the hand, they can see like a dead person come up, right? And it just goes to show, like I remember watching that movie and thinking like, oh wow, like because something happens, and I won't like spoil it, but something happens where the tables turn for one of the characters at the end, and then she is like in this place of like, now she's the dead person that's going to meet, that's forced to like meet the people that are calling to her or whatever.
Oh, wow.
And so that's like interesting to me, like
She got stuck in the lamp.
you got stuck, you got stuck, but also like in the right context or in the right like sort of system or whatever, we can what's the word I'm looking for? We can like monetize anything. Like we can, even dead spirits, so, right? This is like someone's like, they're plagued to live in this limbo or whatever you want to call it. And I think for her, she's like becoming more and more aware of like, well, this is fun and game for a lot of people, but what happens to these people that are tied to this item or whatever?
Our background stories are going to be, I think, phenomenally intertwined.
Oh, good.
There's some that
Okay,
I'm like
good.
going, yep.
Yay!
Yep.
Okay,
See some,
awesome. Okay, so
if this one.
Good. Can I jump
man.
backward a
Yes.
second? When you say surgeon, do you think your surgeon operated in the war?
No.
No. Okay.
No, I was not. I mean, it can go that way, but that wasn't my initial thought.
It's whatever you want.
Much more of a homebody, I guess.
Okay.
Like, is much more concerned with the ideas rather than doing,
Right.
and has been put into a situation where he needs to do, which makes him uncomfortable.
Okay. Okay. I don't know if there's a draft in this world.
But if there was, it would be interesting against his will to possibly have been put in that situation to have to do that.
Right. Well, we could play it with anything,
Yeah.
but if there were, and you didn't go, it would be fun to.
Oh, interesting.
know
Yes,
why.
that would be. Yeah, I like that.
A little bit of a draft dodger and dodging.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just draft dodging.
She's a objector.
Get that old spur in your foot,
Yeah,
man.
phone spurs. Phone
Yeah.
spurs.
Well, okay. So there's a possibility that in a way of dodging that is that whatever happened, once fleshing out what happened with the event that took his sister, affected him slightly physically as well. So there is something that causes him to have just dodged the draft and not able to go because he has some part of his body is fucked up or something like that because it just missed him but his sister, and clipped him as it went by, whatever it was. So
We could play with the idea, if anyone at this table wants to, of starting you with a scar.
I can.
And if anyone takes a scar, we will give you a little perk or extra ability
I would
or
happily
something
start with a
in
scar. That
exchange.
sounds great.
Okay, we can talk about that later. All right, Katie, what you thinking?
If this flies, I was thinking of someone whose father was somehow related to the ascendancy. Ascendancy? Is that how you say it? Ascendancy?
Is that the religious part?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But very much involved in it, very distant. And my character is kind of frazzled, kind of clumsy, but really wants his attention. And I think at some point my mother has gone missing or is not in the picture, and I'm not sure why. So he's really the only person that I have in my life. But I'm not originally very talented at understanding religion or anything, and I fall into kind of an obsession with the occult and learning about magic. And in my studies, I find some kind of summoning charm or some summoning spell or summoning, what do you do? Scarlet? I don't know.
Summoning
Summoning thing.
MacGuffin.
That I am far too green to understand how to use, and try it out. And I want to summon my mom, and I'm supposed to have some of her property, but we don't really have that. I'm supposed to have something that she, maybe even like one of her eyes or something.
Cool.
But I figure, well, I'm part of my mom, and I can just look in a mirror and try to summon her that way.
Interesting.
And so I look at my eyes in the mirror, and instead of summoning my mom, awaken me from a past life in my head, who was from Old Fair,
Yeah.
and
That's cool. I like that.
and has some of the dead knowledge of Old Fair that might have damned that region or something.
That's
so
so long
That's
ago.
very cool.
That's the way we play this game.
Encore.
Oh, okay.
That's why we're playing this game. Just come up
So
with
I
cool
think
ideas.
this character is very like almost Helena Bonham Carter, like very just like there's this push and pull of wanting to seek further knowledge, but also having this wariness of what the damage can be. And I even thought maybe like when she did this summoning or something, she had to be rescued by Candela Obscura, or someone had to come in and stop her and contain her, and then she understands more of like, she's tempted by the magic, tempted by the other side, but also understands that she maybe can't.
That's an interesting. That would be very fascinating.
And these two, since she can channel spirits, that'd be cool if she could channel her. If they have some sort of weird like fluidity, you know what I'm saying, that can like go back and forth. Maybe it interrupts or something. Maybe it empowers. I don't know. That'd be kind of cool.
It's like, oh, I can't hear. I can't. You're too close to
Wonder
me.
Twins, activate.
Wonder Twins.
Yeah, and something we'll get into again. I'm jumping forward and then coming back. Is we'll start to talk about like how did you get into Candela? Who found you? Who brought you in? Who brought you in? If that were a moment that happened to you, where you were tinkering around on your own right, not really knowing what you were doing, and that happened, maybe you end up in the hospital in New Fair and wind up in front of this one. This one might already be in Candela, and it could lead into your. Not that that's what it has to be, but that's the way you start thinking about. Yeah. All right, Imari.
All right, so I have basically had two characters that I created. One was called Malcolm Trills, and Malcolm is part of a higher class family. They come from the Eves, and basically a lineage of military service. They're well known throughout New Fair, political aspirations, whatever. They have power, and family's extremely ambitious, kind of like Succession a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like a little bit like, like how like, either freaking, either buckle up or get the hell out, or or be left behind, prove yourself, kind of family. And Malcolm is more. He's more poetic, more arts. Like it's basically like he likes. He wants to live. I wouldn't say modest life, but he's not all about the frills. And he's about the trills.
Also disciplined.
Did he though still have the same military background? Yeah,
so he's expected to serve because everyone in his family did, and so he goes along with it. He's basically not thrilled to be in the military, but he doesn't want to upset his family or his father in particularly. And he's good at it. He's good. He can kill. He's able to strategize. He has a sharp intellect, and he winds up in a special forces area during the war. He's thrown in the war basically, and he winds up in a special unit that goes out and basically take care of strange phenomena. I don't know if it could be like X-Files or something, but it's a special unit that takes care of things that they don't want to get out, or they want to maybe like keep for research development. He's not. Sometimes he's told they do work with the periphery. I'm sorry, the red hand. Loosely, because the red hand collects sometimes some of the things that they find. But there's something that he doesn't exactly understand how it works, but he knows that he goes out with his unit, they explain, they contain, and they give whatever they find over to whoever's in charge. He doesn't know what the hell happens after that. One mission, he goes out with his unit, and they're pretty tight, and they become really good. They can become pretty successful. Don't know the name of the unit yet, and there's a certain phenomenon going on, and they're sent to go investigate. They get there, and basically they find this artifact that's just kind of glowing. It's like kind of it has like a purplish, cosmic looking glow to it, and they try to contain it, and everyone basically there's procedures to this, and someone gets overzealous, and they're like they go touch the damn thing, and basically it sets it off, and those within a certain area they basically go up and they turn into energy. And just like they basically disappear, and the one guy who held it before he goes, Malcolm went to go try to like save him because he was holding the thing, and he didn't want him to go, and he touches it, and for some reason Malcolm doesn't evaporate, but his hand does, and so his hand just disappears, like just into thin air with his friend who's holding this thing. For some reason, Malcolm can like isn't totally overtaken by it. He's able to contain it. He's a sole survivor. Sends it over to the Red Hand, or whatever, to whoever's in charge.
OUP might be a fun one for you. The OUP
Yeah, it
might be
depends
a
on
fun
are
one.
we when they get those things, are they trying to quash them and
OUP. Yeah,
suppress items or get them and possess them?
they're trying to catalog them. He doesn't. He just knows that they're trying to contain them and try not to get. They don't want anyone else to, number one, discover it.
Yeah, that's
they don't
OUP.
want. They don't want it to fall into the wrong hands, and they want to be able to test it.
Right. So we would explore that.
Possibly
There's an
weapons.
organization in the lore called the Office of Unexplained Phenomena, and their whole MO is discovering, analyzing, and suppressing magical phenomena. So we could find like an intersection between the Halen Armed Forces and the OUP.
Awesome.
We'll work on that together.
And so now he's figuring out. He wants to figure out what the fuck's going on. Like how is it? Sorry. What's going on?
It's fucking time.
Sorry.
Fuck.
Okay, cool. He wants to figure out what the fuck's going on. He wants to figure out if he can save his unit, bring back his unit. He doesn't know. He doesn't know what the hell that was. He doesn't know why he wasn't put in there. And it kind of messes him up. And needless to say, he has a little PTSD from it. He becomes an extreme black sheep from his family. And is kind of like cut off. Like basically does not, he's like, fuck the war, fuck you guys, fuck this thing. Like I saw everyone I care about disappear, and now I'm gonna figure out what's going on. And they're like, you're obsessive, stick to the plan, family is everything. And he's like, whatever, I'm out. And so he becomes sort of like I would say more of like a Luke Cagey kind of cat. Like he loves justice, and he loves like he does like humanity. He wants to help, but he's bitter and he's pissed off and he's kind of like feels like he's alone right now, but he wants to help people still. He has that aspect about himself. So he's kind of like a helper for hire kind of thing, kind of like the Equalizer kind of guy, right? And he works out in the what was the entertainment district?
Oh, the
Red
Red
Lamp.
Lamp.
The Red Lamp.
Red
He works
Lamp.
out in the Red Lamp. Sometimes as a bouncer.
So ex-military.
Ex-military.
At this point.
Yeah, at this point.
Okay.
Because the war's over.
Right.
And so that, war's over, ex-military. He has a hand which was created, and I don't know how it happens, but he has his bleed detector in his hand. So every time he witnesses a bleed, the hand has some sort of like energy in it. I don't know if like it took a shard of what, I don't know. Like he's able to focus something out of his hand.
Okay.
And so like he's basically trying to figure out what happened to his friends, and seeks Candela for help. And that's how he became a member. Through trying to.
Did he fight dutifully in the last Great War?
Yes.
Yes.
Like above approach. Like he was like he did so primarily out of the protection of his crew. Like he wanted them, he wanted them to make it back. He didn't necessarily believe in the war, but he wanted to serve with distinction and please his family. Which is another reason why he's also pissed off at them, because he killed and he had to do things that he didn't really want to do. And
I see overlap here and here as well,
Yeah.
because your hand, you had a very dire consequence from a direct encounter with bleed, with magic, and that's what our surgeon over here is exploring. So sometime after the war, possibly in taking care of your health, your body, you ended up in front of the doctor here.
Maybe I got a little fragment of that artifact in me. I don't know. Like maybe that's something that like kind of like did a little something. I don't know how we can work that in. Because obviously I have to roll with what I can't. I got to roll with what my character can do.
There's different ways we could tackle that. One simple way would be to make that hand, that artificial hand, be part of your gear. That's one way we could handle it. We could also, if we're just looking at it mechanics-wise, supporting the story you want to tell, we could say that is your first scar.
Yeah.
And then go fishing through all the character sheets for an ability that comes along with it.
Like, instead of it, like you can I can comic book this. You can Zorn it so that something happened to like where your hand was, and now this is just covering it at this point.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
whatever's going on, this is just a normal
And I have the
metal
little things
hand.
inside that kind of
But like whatever is like
stuff.
whatever is now there instead of your hand.
It's like nubs.
Yeah, or
And I
just
mean,
like
we're like-
weird that like flicker off into like
Is that your writing?
tentacles or
Kinda
something.
You
Do you
could.
still do your
phantom
art?
limb sort of situation.
Yeah,
Do you
literally.
still do your art? Does your character still do art?
No.
Feet.
No.
Oh well,
Not gonna go
no.
Bruce
This is drawing hand.
Damn it.
Ooh.
Yeah, dude.
Took
But does he
everything.
try through that
Does he art
new
through the
limitation?
paint?
Yeah, you can try, but it's never quite the same as it
Right.
was before because it's like Doctor Strange. You can't do surgery anymore.
Mhm.
Because he his hands were wrecked, but he was able to salvage it enough to cast spells, I guess. So he can. So he is a little. He is. I would say like he does do what the art he can, but he knows he's like you can never be what he. But he still does poetry. He can still write and everything like that. So, but the art aspect is sort of like gone from him. And
Right.
Oh boy, this is gonna be.
You could also play again. Suggestions can be taken or left, but you can play with if your sister was taken the way she was,
Yeah.
and you are left with some sort of something happened to you. It could be the very same thing, just affecting your bodies in different ways.
yeah, I mean that thing
Forming
that
a
took
bond.
her. Yeah,
Especially hearing your story about them disappearing, that's going to immediately clock me. And
Right.
that's why when I heard your thing with them
Yeah.
with her disappearing, I was like, oh
Yeah.
shit, that kind of goes right into
yeah.
the squad.
That's cool.
All right. Well, what better person to end with than the man who originated this whole fucking thing?
Oh, for fuck's sakes. This is going to be fun because I built this thing wondering what was going to happen, and I'm excited that maybe there's some layers where we can tie this all together in this very, very pretty way. I am playing with the notion of a character named Leonard Leo Amicus, middle name, last name redacted. A socialite in exile.
Okay.
Just these days, fixer, friend to whoever needs a friend, enemy to whoever needs an enemy, etc., etc.
So, Taliesin Jaffe.
Yes.
Yes.
How I ended up with Candela is I come from a very rich family. We were living in the eaves. I just had very little I needed to do with my life other than spend money. Very little responsibility, and one of the wonderful things we used to get up to was kind of a unsavory thrills and chills of the wealthy and well-to-do and interesting, where we would throw parties and interesting themes, just anywhere from crazy swinging from the chandeliers to whatever the version of unbelievable wealth's costume parties, etc. Like, any theme, any weirdness, we could put it together.
Eyes wide shut.
Yes.
Eyes wide shut, but a little more fanciful. I mean, that gets boring at a certain point.
Yeah.
So pedestrian.
Yeah, like,
So Nancy Ray.
Eyes wide shut, but with elephants.
no, I mean, have you ever eaten one?
Yeah. Not elephant specifically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you like
But
that.
Sam-
that's okay.
Just
Tiger souffle.
disturbing decadence.
Yeah.
The decadence of boredom. One of the evenings that I was supposed to of this 4 times a year club, I was supposed to be putting together. I thought it would be fun to have a kind of faux seance. Just sort of bring the vibe of the occult and the beyond into the party. Just have kind of have a fun, dark spiritualist vibe. The war was over. The vibe was everywhere. Didn't know that the object and the people involved were real, and things went very, very wrong, and people died. It was very bad. A very rich family that I had covered it the fuck up and paid off every bribe, made everything go away. In return, I was told to leave, to lose my last name, never speak of the family again, and just live off the very reasonable for most people amount of money that I was given to just live my life away
So you
and
were
never make noise again.
paid off, in essence, to go away.
Paid off and put into exile, which I have done, especially since almost everybody who died at that party was the direct relation of a very powerful, influential person, which Candela has been so kind to help keep under the table for me. And in return, I have given them access to the lovely collection of things, that many of which I did not know were that interesting, that I had collected over the years. They get to pick through my apartment whenever they choose, and I, in turn, I still know people. I still talk to people, especially unscrupulous people, and I know things about people that shouldn't be made public. So just, I've got a little bit of everything, and I am very bored. So
It's a little bit of a rebel rouser.
I have to keep myself quiet, but I'm a little older, a little wiser, and good at, paying attention now.
So you had a horrific kickoff into understanding that there is more than we know in the world.
Yes.
And you're a member of Candela now. I loved all of that. You're a member of Candela now. What keeps you coming back?
A mix
For
of
the challenge of it.
boredom, which is a very big one. They put in the work to keep me off the radar now that my family is fucking done. So if any of the rich and important families found out that I was the one that caused their child or grandchild or otherwise who was to be psychically incinerated into a lunatic who, is now locked in an asylum with like half a face or whatever happened to them,
Right.
I would be dead.
Okay.
Very horrifically. So they keep me safe, and in return, I do work for them. I'm happy to do it.
Well, recording all this for me, right?
And I'm malleable for, as always, I'm
They're
malleable
silently
for
smiling.
whatever everybody needs. So
Okay.
That sounds like cool. Like maybe like we met through that. Like
Oh.
if you're a collector of things, like maybe we've crossed paths for sure.
And I've definitely grown up with this cat.
we know each other very well.
And maybe we have a little bit of a rivalry and I have a little disdain for him because he embraced it and I was kind of against it.
Everybody loves me.
Yeah.
Right. You have seen
Paris
the
Hilton.
cost of it.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's
I'm thinking
an
of someone else,
It's
but I
a
don't know.
distraction or an
It's more,
entertainment
yeah.
for him.
John Waters meets Vincent Price with a little bit of Roddy McDowell.
Oh my
Ooh,
God.
that's
Would it be fair to assume then
Fabulous.
that one of the reasons you keep coming back is also some guilt?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We don't call it that where I come from.
Right.
no.
Yeah.
And maybe like also a weird sense of community, like people who don't really will care about your money. Like you know what I mean? Like the people here, like
Considering you're in exile, there is some sort of more real human connection within the walls of this place.
Oh, and I like facilitating people who cannot
Yeah.
facilitate themselves. If it's a problem money can solve, it's honestly not a problem, is it?
right?
Jesus.
I'm so
I
excited.
know this person.
Well, that was a lot of wild catalysts. I love it. Again, before we start webbing together, and I know I heard this from some of you, but let's just crystallize it in the air for all of us. I want to know the cause that keeps you coming back for it. What's the knowledge or the goal that you're pursuing, each of you? If you could sum it up in like 3 sentences.
The goal that I'm pursuing is finding a way to understand and cure bleed on people to save them
See
from
if
the
there's a way to
effects.
make it tolerable
Yes,
to
tolerable.
the human body.
Yeah,
Okay.
and studying the effects of bleed on the human body.
So much so that you would charge into danger
Yeah,
to acquire.
yeah.
Okay.
Becoming a little obsessive with it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
I love it.
a little bit of Victor Frankenstein sort of obsession.
Mm-hmm.
I think with my character, there's a lot of, I don't want to say guilt, but so kind of maybe guilt as far as like just really trying to find a way to not just like cover up this magic or put a thing on it, which I know is what Candela does. They capture, they kind of like make sure it's not
safety. Yeah.
it's safety and all that, but go a step further and see if there is a way to bring peace to these souls that are kind of stuck in this anguish, and that she is very much a daily sort of recipient of.
Right, you're attuned to them. It's not like you've heard stories about spirits. You're hearing them, you're seeing them on a regular basis.
Yeah, and I think that makes it more
pains you.
human. So I think it's that. I don't know if that's like a great reason, but I think it's enough, I think, for her to be like, just give meaning to, if we want to be selfish about it, like give meaning to her own life also, you know. She's kind of like a trick pony, and I think this is a way to give her some meaning.
Right. Well, yeah, it's like altruism for the dead.
Yeah.
Worrying about the actual people involved, not just the clinical understanding and cataloging of the
Which is
things.
important too.
Right.
But, you know,
Yeah.
I think for her it's kind of like, and then what? Not something she needs to solve in 3 episodes. But
I'm getting sidelined, but do you think that this ability that she has, this trait, that it reached fruition once she was in New Fair and working amongst these curios, or were there whispers of it even, or some level of it when she was younger, or soon after her parents were lost in the war?
yeah, there must have been, right? Like, I don't know if people, I mean, if it's like here, if it's like in our world, right? There are people who have like a gift, or like people who intuit, you know, or are very sensitive to that kind of stuff. But I think she was young and her parents died, and maybe that's another thing too. Like, maybe she's not from across the way. Like, maybe she is from West Rec, right? And maybe her parents are dead. Maybe she's wondering, are they stuck in something? Am I gonna one day in my job find my parents?
Right.
You know what I mean? So, sorry, what was your question?
Well, I'm wondering, and again, I'm not trying to feed you anything. I'm just trying to inspire you. Like when the war was going on, and it became clear that New Fair was bringing out some sort of secret weapon, did your parents throw you in the basement and shut the storm cellar doors, and they were incinerated?
Yes.
And you crawled out into nothing.
Yes, 100%.
And found them very much, you know, Luke with Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru.
Yeah.
Charred husks.
Yeah, and I think there must have been like a, you know, like a movement to like, let's adopt these kids whose parents are dead, or any survivors, you know, in like the rich sort of areas, or like, you know, like we do here, right? So whatever.
Yes, did some wonderful individual load you and a bunch of kids up on a truck and we're going to take care of you?
Pretty much.
Then you became a
and
maid.
then whatever. Yes. Yeah. I think it's a little bit of that too. Yeah, I think that's right. So she must have had something, but I don't know if her parents had, I don't know if they were, I don't think they were wealthy to begin with, but like, would she have come across like objects like that just in the day-to-day before this, like, you know, huge like nuclear event or whatever happened? Like, I know they're little. Spike, what, you have an idea?
No, there's an actual historical account of something very similar like this that happened during the bombing of Hiroshima. And
really?
I was like, it's really fucked up, and it's just that's playing in my head.
Yeah.
2 kids were in their house alone. Their mother had gone to the store when the bombing happened. Whoa. And they sat in their house, the wreckage of their house, for like 3 days until a monster crawled in the front door, which was their mother, covered in the black sludge of the rain, crawled home and died in their house in front of them. Like, it's a whole a whole thing.
Real?
Yeah, it's a real thing that happened.
I never heard that. But yeah, I think it's that level. It's that level of horror, you know, like, and that does something to you. And I think that, oh God, that's such a sad story. But and I'm sure there's dozens of stories.
Right,
like
that's just a very famous one that I just, you were describing that and I was like,
And if she does have a scar already, like, is it even like a spiritual scar, or is it like literally she survived like a nuclear bomb?
Yeah,
like, I don't
it
know.
absolutely could be.
You know,
for sure.
But yeah,
You've never been the same.
Yeah.
I wonder if you pulled some sort of a locket or something off of Mom, and occasionally Mom appears in your dreams and then appears next to your bed, and then that kicks things off.
Maybe it starts like that or whatever.
I have a story. Tangents.
Tell
a
us.
family story.
Ooh.
Where and my aunt has been telling this story for years and years, where she was driving in upstate New York in the deep woods, country road with her. At that time, he was probably 2, 3, 4. I don't remember the exact age. Driving at night, and she's driving, and she looked up in. She listened to her son giggling, in his car seat. And she looked into the rearview mirror, and saw her father, my grandfather, who was deceased, sitting in the back seat, just like sort of like nodding down to the boy and talking, and the boy laughing, and she went, and looked again, and he was gone. And then she just put her eyes on the road and was like, "Who are you talking to, buddy?" And this little boy said, "Oh man."
Oh my God.
There are books on how like kids, like when they're really little, they'll say weird shit like, "Oh, I used to live there before I died," and they're like 2, or like I worked at that. I was a surgeon at that hospital before it was like incinerated, and you're just like, "What the fuck?" Yeah. But then they forget after a certain age where they stop being so receptive to that kind of stuff.
I had a shroom trip where you actually remember. I had a nice little shroom trippy where I was like, number one, I was like, you probably remember if. You have deja vu a lot, right? I mean, I believe in deja vu, number one. Yeah. When I get it, I used to freak me out, but I've gotten it so many times where I'm like, okay, I've dreamt about this. Yeah. I believe in it. But I also believe that, like, you can definitely be a visitor of this world a second time. Yeah. I don't know how it works, but I was like, what if you're born and you have all the knowledge, and as you get older, it just regresses.
There's a book. It's called The Boy Who Knew Too Much, and he was Lou Gehrig. Yeah. Lou Gehrig? Lou Gehrig. Yeah. He knew all the stats. He was like fucking 3. Yeah. And they called the family, and the family was like, okay, tell us this weird detail. Like, the kid would never know, and he knew it.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally think that's something that kids, like, because you don't know any better. And I think as you get older, you start to learn how to operate within the confines of your social structure. And I think that can degrade certain things. This is just a really high shroomy trip.
It's so good. I love it.
I think now she's really like kind of spiraling into this perverse quest for knowledge, and being a part of this circle allows her to do that. But also, I do think she still is wanting to try to find a way to reconnect with her mother or figure out where her mother is. And I think that she believes that the power that she can gain through this will give her the ability to do that.
Okay. So it's a quest to find a loved one that is becoming an obsession or has become an obsession in its own right.
If you think that we can do something like that in 3 episodes. I can modify it too. It's
I like it. Yeah. I like it. Malcolm wants to
figure out if he can bring his people back, right? And also he wants to figure out what's going on with his freaking hand, with why he wasn't affected. Like, why didn't I go? He kind of has survivor's guilt, and he has a motivation to protect people. Okay. He does not want what happened to him or what he's seen to creep into the mainstream. So maybe he's like, maybe he does different operations for the OEP as well. Maybe he's still like, maybe he's upset with them. Maybe he wants revenge against them as well, because they're like, they obviously know something about it. But why does he not have answers? Why was he kind of patched up, thrown away? So there's that aspect as well too, maybe a little revenge. And Candela is the one that kind of like brought him back up.
Gave you some focus.
Gave me some focus, purpose, understanding. And so he feels a loyalty to them.
Maybe, I wonder if he, survivor's guilt, with or without a burned away hand from a magical artifact, is like a really heavy and real life concept. I wonder if, I just spiral off, I had an idea where to go.
No, keep it.
It's something we haven't done. Survivor's guilt. Or whatever my version. I didn't really.
Whatever my version of
is working with Candela. Maybe where I was going was, is it his way of, some people might think in his situation, I shouldn't be here. But with Candela finally giving him focus, well, if I am here, maybe it's to, with Candela's, MO, maybe it's to make sure this just doesn't happen to anyone else.
And also maybe like it's also another way to serve. Maybe he's like, well, let me be a service as well. If I'm going to be here, then let me. But maybe he doesn't really fully believe he should be. Maybe it's just like that's like it's. I mean, maybe he's just like, okay, well, I want to take care of people. I want to make sure it doesn't happen. Candela can ensure that and give me understanding. But then there's also like that whole battle of like, still I want to make sure that I'm here and it's worthy and I'm doing the right thing being here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not being wasted. So then maybe there's a little more eagerness for him to. That's maybe one of his faults. He's a little bit eager to figure stuff out. Maybe he's a little restless sometimes because of it.
Okay.
Where'd that come from?
We have a bar down
Wow.
I got tequila. I got shrooms.
Shrooms.
But I didn't see that. It was just like
It's like a Mary Poppins. It's just like
she's like
1 liter baby.
That's awesome.
And I think you said, but
I've got something a little more defined, if you like.
sure.
Since everyone's just taking some fun stuff, silence. If it is quiet for too long, I can hear it, and I can just hear the evening that went on as everybody.
Okay.
I have not had a moment of quiet since I play records. I make noise, some sort of background noise everywhere I'm at. If I'm alone, something's playing, there's a machine running. If it's quiet for too long, I can hear it.
So that sounds like intense guilt, and you're just trying to drown it out.
Who knows? I certainly don't.
Okay.
But if I can, if doing good work makes it go away, amazing. If finding the right object makes it go away, amazing. I just want quiet.
He doesn't know, but do you, Taliesin, know?
No, I'm a big believer that if he doesn't know, then I don't know.
Okay.
You know me. I'd like to give you some flexibility.
Okay. The last thing we're going to do before we get into the crunchier part of character creation today is we don't have to do it in any order, but I'm going to pick on Alex.
Okay.
And look around the room with all the conversations we've had, and this can be fluid, it can change. You also don't have to use the actual words in this book, but I found them really helpful in my chapter. Looking around at each of the people at the table, and these do not need to mirror each other, but grab a book. Someone hand Alex one of the campaign guides and go to page 34.
God. Those long arms doing me good. 34.
Damn.
And we have a list of descriptors here of what is each person here to me.
Okay.
Is Aimee's character a bully toward mine? Probably.
I'm gonna be a fucking journalist. Journalist idiot.
Are they my confidant? Do I treat them like family, like a sister? Are they my lover?
Right.
If someone wants to do romance at this table and two people are cool with it, that's totally cool as well. But it's whatever people want.
Triple.
A quintuple.
Got it?
We are all dating.
We're all like,
That's too
relax,
complicated
Tim.
for me.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say, it's the circle of nothing but communication.
Yeah.
Just, oh God, just talking all
We
the
talk
time.
so much.
Okay, so go around and add one of these to
if
everybody.
you can.
Yeah. I'm gonna start with Taliesin. Stranger.
We're a stranger.
On the next page.
Oh.
And saying that, you guys have gone out and done
Yeah.
weird shit together.
Yes. I don't know who he really is.
Okay.
Oh, he's just kind of like
Mercurial.
Yeah.
I'm nothing but pageantry.
All right. So then for Malcolm.
Confidant springs to mind. Something that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Because if we work together, I mean, I'm gonna have to trust you to set you right.
I think you fall under coworker, but specifically one of the prompts at the very bottom, which is you owe this person more loyalty than others would expect. What did they do for you?
Oh, that's interesting. I like that.
But that was under
Coworker.
Coworker.
You like my Lucius Fox?
So you go by Morbio, is that right?
Oh, that's my my past life.
Oh, that's your past life. Okay, that's so. Cinnamon. Cinnamon. For you.
I feel so seen.
Where is it? I saw it for a second. There it is. Muse.
I was thinking you would be my muse or my mentor.
Because something about this person fascinates you. What is it? And it is specifically the thing that had happened to you fascinates me.
Right.
And for Grimoria, right? Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah, that's perfect.
I think for you. Let me see. Oh, you said you were 18, right?
Yeah.
Ward.
Cool. My turn.
It can be.
I should write what I said down.
So yeah.
I'm gonna need that.
So with Leo, excuse me, I'm kind of between an old friend, not so much because I know him well, but because maybe he was sort of my first connection to so with someone that knew about my ability
You could also
in the outside world.
say first friend.
First friend, that's good. I was between that or Ward, because I sort of like as like spiritually seem to have been like, hey, Molly, you're in danger, girl. Or maybe first friend feels more appropriate, I think. Again, not because I know you well, but because you're kind of...
We know each other's secrets, certainly,
Yes.
which is a very interesting...
Yeah, that's
and-
a cool...
Yeah.
Is there a
That
thing
is
for
a-
that? Or I think old friend is that.
Really, this is just to get us talking
Okay.
and getting conversation in the air.
Okay.
So those the questions are really more important than picking the perfect label.
Okay. Perfect. I think with Edgar, I think he would be like a muse for me, because he is like so he can do his job out in the open in a very honest way, and it seems to be really trying to get to the bottom of how to like make people's lives better in the world that they live in, versus like he's going a step above. Like he's trying to be like, well, what if I could come up with the antidote to bleed or whatever? I think that's very inspiring to Grimoria. I think with Cinnamon, I don't know if there's a thing for it, but I think there's like a little bit of a crush, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic crush as much as it is like an infatuation with like, oh wow, like even from the look of it, like she's able to really be free, and that might not be how you feel. You know what I mean?
Right,
but it's
absolutely.
the image.
It does not have
It's
to be
not
accurate.
Yeah, it's not accurate, but it's like, oh wow, like she doesn't have to live her life buttoned up. She's like openly out in the world as like someone like, you know, sort of like, or I guess making your own choices at a great cost to you, but you're doing it like with a full, like you're doing it full-throatedly. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that could be how 26
No.
looks.
Full-throated?
Full-throated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Full Nancy Ray.
Like Nancy
Throat
Ray,
coat.
yeah.
Throat coat.
That might be what 26 looks like from 18.
Yeah.
As well.
Living your
I
life.
just, yeah. And so I don't even know if it's like she's got a romantic crush. It's just kind of like an awe and like a little bit of like, I just want to be around this person because she seems from the outside. So she doesn't brush her hair, like, you know, but she doesn't know why. Grimoria doesn't know why she doesn't brush her hair. You know, she doesn't look in a mirror and it's all tied up in other things. But to her, it's like she's living on her own terms, and I really love that. With Malcolm, I feel like because she's young, she would feel intimidated by like the sort of like pedigree that you come from, and also feel very protected by your abilities to kind of like, you've just seen some shit, and you're very capable, and so I don't want to say stranger
danger.
No, because I don't feel, it's not dangerous, but it is kind of like, you're maybe the person I know the least, because I can't imagine, of all the people in this room, like, we would probably ever cross paths if it wasn't for Candela, right? Like, if you like run in sort of higher end circles or in like a military circle or whatever. So I'm trying to think what that would be. I guess coworker.
Could be coworker, could be stranger. Like And again, these are just catch-alls.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, that doesn't really make a maybe champion?
Champion?
Sorry.
I'll be your champion, my lady.
Will you be my
Come, come, my lady. Come, my
Sugar
lady.
butterfly.
Sugar baby. Yeah, I don't know.
You can also
a hodgepodge.
ruminate or learn at the table.
It's a hodgepodge. Everyone's on a spectrum of like
I'm getting like
deep she's very attracted to like the you know, the first time she's like out in the world meeting people that are not in her usual
Don't like own you, basically.
Yeah.
Right, well, because so first she was a thrown away kid, and then she was sort of a pet almost.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think she's still a little bit of a pet. Like, I don't think that she's like,
She's so young.
yeah, I mean, I know she's got like the one name and people put her out there, but it's kind of like Gypsy, like that movie Gypsy, or like the movie, oh my God, the musical, you know, like Mama Rose is like, sing out, Louise. I think it's a little bit of that, you know, like, I don't know.
That's great.
I love the way you describe things. I really do.
Well, none of it makes sense, but you get it.
Yeah, I
It's
get it.
nice.
Okay, on to Katie.
So many fun choices. We're like,
it's just like all kinds of shit
Yeah.
I can run away. I mean, you can combine something of
Yeah.
both, all the confidence
Okay,
together.
yeah.
You know, like why there's a little bit of that confident, a little bit of that confident. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I
That's
mean,
cool.
I do like the idea of Edgar's older and potentially saved my life, or something like that, and is a mentor to me because, you know, whereas I really know kind of the weird side of things, he's really profound with the science, like the hard sciences maybe or something, and that might fascinate me.
Maybe with none of the coldness of your father.
Right, yeah, right. Or I don't know how cold you would be or not. And then I think with Grimoria, I do like this muse part where you fuel an obsession of mine that I find dangerous. I think your ability to kind of like commune with these artifacts is really fascinating to me, because I think that's something that you're able to naturally do that I kind of failed at. And also, yeah, it might be like kind of the opposite thing where, you know, you're like, oh, she's so free, whatever. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
she's so put together.
Yeah.
The other way around.
Yeah.
And then Malcolm, I thought it'd be kind of interesting. I don't know if we have like a confidant kind of relationship where, you know, I like this idea of we're planning something. I don't know if maybe you know what I'm up to in terms of trying to resurrect or figure out where my mom is or speak to my mom, and that's kind of your objective as well. And it kind of be a little bit of a welcome to the dark side.
So a little secret kind of like, I don't know, like collaboration kind of thing.
Yeah, something, or you know, or just yeah, there could be something there where we both know that we might have a similar goal and have a deep understanding of that, even if it might seem dangerous to others. Or,
And we both have, I mean, that would make perfect sense. I mean, the artifact kind of changed me a little bit, and you obviously like went through that. So we both have repercussions from like having experiences with something from not this realm.
And also, we have weird relationships with our family,
Exactly.
too. So there could be, we just, you know, walking around like, what's your dad up to today? Oh, nothing.
Yeah, fuck, your dad did that too. Shit, well, listen to what my dad did.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah, that's so.
My dad's the worst.
My dad.
I think, you know, I might be
Whereas, like,
fascinated.
my dad's dead.
Yeah.
He's just a bummer in every argument.
Yeah. I might be fascinated by Leo in kind of a unique way, and I don't know if it would be something where, you know, we might have traveled similar circles back in the day, and I might sort of recognize you because my father's part of the Ascendancy, and we might have gone to some of those high-profile areas or something. Or I might just like...
I was saying, you would have been a baby.
Oh, I would have been a baby?
Because you're, how old are you?
I'm 26.
Okay, so
I would have been young.
I'm 20 years older, but but it's entirely possible that you would be coming in just as I was being.
When did this
few
even
years of
happen
overlap?
for you?
This is probably 5 years at most.
Okay.
I guess let's call it 5 years. That feels like a good anniversary of you fucked your life up.
Okay.
So 5 years ago? So I would have been 20.
Okay.
And then I'm just throwing out ideas.
No,
That's cool. Like, but
I'm into
you
it.
were just old enough to like start going to parties and mingling, and you were seeing this peacock of social circles for a couple of years, and then disappeared, and then here they are again.
Yeah, and maybe I would have been maybe the only person not interested in your show or something. I would have been more interested in like some kind of weird bug that I saw on the ground. I don't know, but could be one thing. Or
It would definitely be a cautionary tale. I would be very much a cautionary tale.
yeah, yes, yeah. Or you could just be like a more of a stranger, an anomaly, or not an enigma that I just don't know how to figure out.
Do you think that if Dad was going to this party, that it was a very high society party and he was there because it was high society, or was Dad debaucherous? Was it that kind of party? Not that kind of party, but like man of the cloth.
I like the idea
How
of him
chaste.
not being a good person.
Okay.
Because I don't know. I don't know if he is linked in any way to what happened to my mother or what, but the way that he treats me alone kind of, I don't know, might be interesting.
Could even be like a greasing of palms business thing.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Fancy.
Okay.
Cardinal Dolan. Sort of thing.
All right, we're on to you,
Moving
Imari.
on.
Okay, so I am thinking for Edgar, he's going to be my confidant.
Okay.
This person keeps okay. There's two. It's can either be champion or confidant. I've kind of went towards champion too because this person does something to help you in your everyday life. What is it, and how do you thank them? Which he helped me basically like contain my bleed or reaction to the artifact, and to adapt. To use whatever energy affected me from it. Gave me an apparatus to channel. So we've been working together. Not everyone knows what we do. We have our own secret thing, I'm saying, that our own understanding. Maybe we're in the same room and we don't really, maybe we don't even want to say together, but say anything to each other. But, when we're alone, we have a different kind of relationship.
Right.
I wonder if that damage, if it was one and done, or if it hit and it was
Spreading
creeping
slowly.
And
He kind of keeps it
Edgar
at bay.
kept it at bay.
From spreading. Yeah.
I thought you just
Yes. I mean, it's definitely something progressive that I think, because, it didn't affect me, but it did affect me. And then for Grimoria, I think my character has a little bit of a crush on her, but she's so young that it could never happen, right?
Okay.
But he sees her as a muse, a person who lights up the room when they walk into it. I think he sees a strength in her that she doesn't really see in herself, a charm, a way to like hide her hurt that he also has for himself. And she does that with theatrics, but he can see through it, right? But then he is also charmed by how she is tenacious and how she's able to maintain. And I think he finds that attractive. And I think he finds her struggle semi-attractive because it's one that she has to endure. So I think he's kind of drawn to that. Not in a oh girl, let's hook up way, but I think he's just like, another time, she would have been, she would have.
Admirable at a young age.
Yeah. And he sees that.
He acknowledges
Kind
it,
of more
but
like
then just
Protective, but also he's like, damn, I wish I was 18.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna respect it. So you know what I'm saying, like, cause I'm 20, I'm in my 30s. You know what I'm saying? Now I don't know if you could or marry older at the time, but he has like it's a friendship, protective attraction, I guess you would call it, right?
Gotcha.
For Sentiment, soulmate, and we work kind of like she's trying to understand what's going on with her mom. We have our issues with family, and I've seen her around the red lamp, and we kind of got a chance to know each other. She's a little awkward, under kind of like and which I like because I think it's real, and she shows me who she is. So I immediately was kind of like drawn to that, and then we kind of like got into each other's histories. And are maybe trying to help each other out with figuring out what about energy and or channeling or what have you. And I haven't worked out that part yet, but I think she would be What do you see in this what do you see in this person? Oh no. What characteristics in this person do you find endearing but others find odd? Yeah, so I like that aspect of it. That I'm kind of drawn to that oddity. Right. And then for Mr. Leonard, for Leo, so I went with rival.
Interesting.
And I went with rival because we're from the same circle, and I know his family, and I've known him because we've been in maybe different functions, whatever. Although I viewed what I viewed in with my blessing, with being from a powerful family, I looked at it a certain way. He looked at it a different way, and so his aspirations might have been different from mine, right? And maybe there was a little bit of like envy because he's a little more affable, and he's a little bit more whimsical, has been able to let things go, and I've always been able to hold it in, and I think I've shown disdain for that. Like I'm like, oh, grow up or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, but then part of me is also like, I wish I could kind of like go a little bit like that and live a little more carefree and not care so much. Yeah. And I think he's a little envious that he's able to do that.
So jealousy in spite of
a little jealousy, a little envy, possibly from that. But then also admires the way he's able to, get information he needs to get. He kind of admires that as well. So I think they're just sort of like, and then they both got casted out of their family, so I think he feels a little bit of a connection with that because we're both now black sheep. He's exiled. I am exiled in the sense I haven't been exiled, but I've been cut off.
Right. Yeah. He's been cut off. So
but he still has his money. They left him with money.
That's true.
They didn't.
I got paid off.
Key difference.
They weren't like
difference.
Yeah.
Right. So that could stick in your craw as well.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I gamed the system.
And then the irony that the two of you are now linked in this way in your life.
Yeah.
Like you could have been shut of that guy.
Can I ever shake you?
If I avoid those parties, I don't have to see him. I have to do what with you now?
Now we're like going around and containing bleeds and freaking, I mean, what the fuck? Kind of like that.
This would be very interesting.
Yeah.
Every circle should have some rivals.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Amicus.
Really quickly, Cinnamon, what was your pull for me? I'm trying to remember the word.
It was made up. I have to remember. There was no choice. It said fascinated in a unique way.
Fascinated.
Yeah.
Traveled similar circles.
Yeah.
I wrote the
Potentially.
word stagger, which I think is a typo.
Okay. Fascinated. I'm into that. Okay. Let's start with Aquarius. I'm going with coworker.
Okay.
I will admit, when you talk about what you do, I kind of glaze over.
I love that.
I appreciate the suit because it makes me look good, which is a good wingman to have. But the circles you run in are definitely circles I don't run in, and that's so valuable. And I really, you're a tough nut to crack, so I always like I really enjoy trying to make you laugh, smile, or grimace.
Yeah. Any reaction.
Yeah, getting a reaction out of you is always rewarding.
Okay. Love that. Love that.
That's Taurus behavior right there.
It really is, dude.
Yeah.
This is
it's tourist behavior. I was like, what?
No, this is I'm Capricorn. I can fake anything.
Yeah, you can fake anything.
Because you're all simple. Mother was an astrologer, man.
Mine too.
That's right. We had
That's awesome.
Grimoria, confident.
Yes.
I am a keeper of secrets. I know everybody's bullshit. You have to tell someone.
Yeah.
You are probably the only person on Earth I actually more or less tell everything to.
Yeah.
You are definitely.
Yeah. I think that's a better word, the confidant, yeah, for sure.
I think that I probably invite you up for coffee and tea quite often, because I'm also in the red light district, red lamp, and I would like to think that it is literally a safe haven, and you are like invited up, even if I'm not there. You probably have a key to my place at this point, so it's just like
Totally.
No matter what happens, sit down. We're going to have a cup of coffee.
That's lovely.
I may talk more than you, no matter what's going on. But
Yeah. For sure you do.
Just cinnamon. I love it. Cinnamon.
You did this.
I love it. I will get it.
Cinna.
Cinna.
Who's got the shit in my
Sedative. I love the
On
name.
the nosy.
I put down Muse. I feel like my charms don't work well on you because I'm nothing but eye contact, and I do not know how to turn it off.
It's just me going like this.
And I'm sure there are occasional points where I have to talk to you when I literally close my eyes, just to make it possible. The work that you're doing fascinates me, and I think that there might be a solution to my problem that is in your problem. And so your problems interest me because I feel like we have some stuff in common with our damage. You're smart enough to be able to actually approach it in a direction that I can't. So I would like to think that I am at least trying to encourage your work however I can, quietly.
Do you think we would have run, or I would have been younger or whatever, but cross paths at some point, or?
I think we would have. I'm deciding whether or not I would remember. I would probably remember I was one of those people.
You would remember this weird.
I believe I would have. My feeling is I would have remembered you when you were younger, because those sorts of functions were the boring ones. Where people trot out their families, and so it was never the wild, crazy stuff. It was, Uncle Titus's, Uncle Titus's Boxing Day party that is held every 3 years because they have to divide it up amongst the family, and just everybody's in a fucking suit, and it's vile.
That would have been before my incident too, so I might be.
Oh, you would have been trotted out,
Yeah.
like just the grandkids shown off, cleaned up. And so I would be aware, and I would, there would have been that mental image of where you are because, you start taking account. But I don't think I would have read a personality into you yet. But I do know your family, and you are apparently, and I think I have the right read, delightfully fell very far from the tree.
Yeah.
In a weird direction, but anything is better than that tree.
Yes. Would you have known my mother?
Probably.
No.
Auntie.
Or at the very least, yeah.
Auntie status.
Yeah, you know all the other families because they all have money. Money knows money. So, yeah, that's possible.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, we'll talk. We can cement that.
Where is she? No.
Where is she? You know something? Tell me.
I would have at the very least known known her. Yeah, I am the knight. And for Malcolm, I put family for kind of the same reason you did, which is we have the bond of where we came from, which no one really understands. That is such a very unique place. We are very different people. But in this one point, we are
connected.
There is just no one who can know what that is. Everything else is just, my word, you're useful and it's wonderful to have you around. But yeah, we would not be friends if this wasn't here. Yeah. In the real world, we would never talk.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Yeah, no, that's why I like the rivalry aspect of it too. Like, but there's a common respect from it that my character has. It's still a necessity to like kind of drive past too. Like, I like it.
No, yeah, we both grew up in a cult, more or less.
Yeah,
so it was like, oh God, those people.
But do you have a house in Newport? And can we come?
Newport.
Renty.
I think with Edgar, there's a very specific thing that he has to do, is that he needs to compartmentalize what he does. So he has his obsession into figuring all of these things out with the bleed and the effects on the human body and all of these things that he does with Candela. And then when he is at home, he is the most boring person. He has to separate that. Like, he can't go home with it. He has to leave it there. So when he's at home, he has just a regular, boring house. There is not a single piece of weird artifact or anything in his house. Any book or anything he has on it is shut in a bookshelf, like it is away. It is.
See Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, exactly.
Put on a whole
I have to
card.
not be that when I go home.
It's like the same suit, but like a soft
Conformity to the
material.
point of perversion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a Steve Jobs closet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yes, exactly.
This is my nighttime bedtime suit.
With a mock turtle.
All right, you
You want
guys,
pajamas.
we have just fleshed out a whole lot, and that's a great place to start, and I'm sure it's going to keep percolating. All of you can... I'm probably going to want to talk to you all one-on-one a little bit today, but we will for sure will continue to talk over the next week or two as we lead up to our kickoff. What is the name of your circle?
I like the idea that everybody has like kind of two things happening at the same time, like a life that they are living and a life that they're not living. They're just kind of going through the motions of.
Right.
So the mask is,
I was
but I like
kicking
that
around with
mask.
reflections, and silver is also a fun one because
Yeah.
that's how you make a mirror, is silver.
Mm.
So that circle of silver and
Circle of the...
I have a way to bring Barbara into this. The circle of the mirror has two faces. Just kidding.
no. God damn it.
Circle,
without a face.
circle of reflection.
No, that's too.
Close. That's
It's
pretty
close,
cool.
though.
What you got vibing?
Circle of reflection.
I was thinking...
Circle of the
well-
mirror mask. Circle of the.
Your masks are very cool.
Circle of the reflected woman. The ghost got away. The woman, female, something about the thing. That,
Doesn't quite scan perfectly,
Yeah.
but the vibe is right.
Circle of where were you?
I mean, unless we're not trying to break the trend of this and that, then we can go in.
I don't mind as long as it flows.
Circle of.
I mean, we are also all in the red lamp.
I live in the Eve.
Oh, you're the one.
Yeah, I don't live there either.
Oh,
I just,
shit.
I just
Well,
come to visit.
Circle of the red reflection.
I was going to say Circle of the Crimson Mirror.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Circle of the
That's pretty high. Crimson. The word crimson is pretty high.
I love
like
the word
crimson,
crimson.
And we are, I mean, mirror's a vibe.
Yeah.
I mean, there's options, but
Circle of the Crimson Mirror is good.
and since we all meet in the
Yeah.
going once, going twice.
I'm okay with
No,
it.
I have no idea.
No, I have no idea.
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't even think of.
We're gonna think of something right when we drive home right now.
Right. Yeah.
That's okay too.
All right, cool.
We could say that Circle of the Crimson Mirror.
Bronco.
Oh my god!
Working title.
Circle of Crimson Mirror is
got
a
a good
working
vibe.
title. And take,
I like Crimson Mirror.
Yeah.
I like it. I like.
you can do a
Circle
take back if you want for 3 or 4 more days.
I just don't get the mirror part, but I like it. I just don't. Right.
Mirrors is a double reflection, right? So
Oh,
reflection,
sure. Oh,
yeah.
that's great.
So that's like the
Sold.
reflect of how we're kind of we both have like layers kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's weird going on, and yeah, I
And
mean,
we do
like,
business in the Crimson area,
Yeah.
right?
that's why the red lamp.
The
so
red lamp.
Yeah.
The red
cool.
mirror was, but the crimson mirror.
Crimson mirror. is
Crimson
cool as fuck.
I do see how I either need to pick a different specialty, start out with a scar, which would be really detrimental to me, or
Yeah, I'm thinking I have to pick a different specialty too.
or be more creative with
Well,
my tools.
now's the time to. Well, and that's the other thing is in D&D is just gonna fuck with you in this game a little bit,
Yeah.
which is you have to get much more used to not doing the could I? No, you're like yes, you could just
yeah.
Right.
yeah.
Right.
There's,
Do that
Which-
thing.
Yeah.
Would we,
so much more
if we
loose
had
than
asked,
that.
would we have
This is
would
kinda
his
bullshit.
bleed detector have gone off with that lady on his hand?
You were
Sure.
using it.
Sure. And the last second idea that I pulled together was to not have you fight anything supernatural because I don't think it's that often.
Mhm.
They were pyre agents
Yeah.
and they wanted the land, and so they were trying to scare the people on the land.
So
and
we
to
did
By
actually do that.
murder.
So we actually did.
So they were
They got the
grabbing people, killing them, and letting a massive
Dog
200-pound
tear
dog
into
make it look like
It's
something.
supernatural.
Did it.
Okay.
And then I was gonna make a phone call to make
I guessed
sure that
it.
these bodies were
Did
not
I say
connected
that?
to
I
us
said that.
whatsoever.
Did I say that? I did
No,
say
we-
that.
Yeah.
I did say that. Call me Sherlock.
Oh, okay.
Lock
Call me
trail.
Dynamite. Call me
Malcolm Sherlock Trill.
Call me
Sherlock
Israel.
Trills, baby.
And now I've learned that I should not. I'm just gonna not get into fights.
Right
I'm gonna
now, I
hide
can't
like a
fight
motherfucker.
either.
Poor baby. My baby got all
No,
messed. They got all messed up.
I actually was like, I was gonna take.
Our
I
one
was gonna take.
combatant ran away from
But
the
also,
fight.
for
Yeah.
soldier, I mean, like, don't get in a fight if you can help it, which you're not going to be able to help it. But
Yeah.
No.
even a soldier, the toughs, like, it is so easy to fail. Rolling 4 6-sided die.
Yeah, it is.
I was gonna get for witness. I thought we were gonna run after I get information because that's the only thing. I'm like, everyone else is gonna die. We need someone alive. And then,
all my friends are gonna die. At least need to know
we
why.
don't even know who she was.
So we don't have much left today. What a good day it was. We're going to pick a circle ability. There are 6 of them, and there's 6 of us. So I thought we'd go around the table, read them out loud so we can all listen and digest, and then you guys, not me, will choose what your circle's ability are. Well, Alex, why don't you kick us off?
Sure. The first one is stamina training. Your circle has 3 gilded dice at the beginning of every assignment that anyone may add as a +1 die to any roll. Once one die has been rolled, it is expended.
So those are just out for the entire assignment, which is usually analogous to a game, and they're just there for you guys to agree on. I'm going to grab one because this moment is super important.
Gotcha.
The next one is Nobody Left Behind. When a player of your circle drops incapacitated from taking too many marks, any roll a player makes in the scene to protect them or get them out of danger has a +1 die.
So if somebody's body is on the edge of a cliff and slowly sliding off,
right?
Boy, that might be a thing.
You guys
really helpful for us.
Some of y'all started with a lot.
Soft.
Soft people.
There's one, we got one muscle, and that's
Yeah, I was just trying to save you, and then I got shot.
Man, you
Tails all this time.
In this together, when you spend drive to help an ally on a roll on a result of 3 or less, you both earn back 1 drive point of your choice.
Oh,
that's really
interesting. That's interesting.
So that means on any failed attempt, there's at least a little mini reward afterward.
But that only happens once, or the whole assignment.
Anytime.
Oh, that's pretty.
That's
good.
pretty
That's
great.
nifty.
Interdisciplinary. When choosing a new ability during character advancement, once per campaign, each character may choose an ability from a character role or specialty outside their own.
Ooh.
That one, I don't think we would make use of because this is a very short story.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Let's choose that one.
There you go.
Let's hamstring ourselves.
Resource
more.
management.
No, that's something else.
Resource management. Resource management. When your circle hits a milestone on the illumination track, earn back 1 stitch, refresh, or train resource, which are things that you get for your circle that are heal you.
Again, I think, and the one left for me to read is the same. One last run. When you select this ability, the next assignment is your last. Everyone gets to take all 4 options during this care. So really, we're just looking at the first 3.
In this together is kind of rocking my world.
Good.
Like,
And this together is good, but we're also so accident prone.
Yeah.
Because
But the drive.
Well, we were
drive
on
was
the
we can
specific
replenish our
instance.
drives
That's right.
faster that way too, though.
yeah, that's good. That's
because
good
we're
idea.
gonna need those drives.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna
It's
roll
very
like
all
double.
purpose.
it also definitely incentivizes
Helping.
and also like reinforcing that, like, you know, it's not just using a drive, but also like, you know, I'm gonna try and shove her out of the way, like she aims her guns, like I'm gonna come in and help shove, and so that, you know, just so letting the narrative push
I
the
like
drive.
that. Let's do
Yeah,
that.
let's do that one.
In this together.
In this together.
This together.
Especially since, boy, some of us are soft.
All right, in this together.
Do we write that down anywhere? Or we'll just put it.
I'll know it. I'll remind you. All right, guys, it has been a full day of candles and obscuring. I really love the sort of dynamics that we've carved out together, and I look forward to putting it to the test.
Yeah.
Why don't we wrap by going around the table? We'll start over here with Mr. Jaffe to sign off and tell us the name of your character and what you're rolling as.
Oh boy. Hello, my name is Taliesin Jaffe. I am playing Leo Amicus in the journalist subclass, little journalist specialty.
Hi, my name is Imari Williams. I'm going to be playing Malcolm Trails, and I will be a soldier.
All right.
I'm so tired.
No, I'm not gonna be able to do it. What name is this?
It's Cinnamon.
Cinnamon. Hi, I'm Katy O'Brian. I'm playing Cinnamon Valverdine, and I am an occultist.
Yes, you are.
Hi, I'm Aimee Carrero, and I'm playing a character named Grimoria, who is a weird medium magician.
My name is Alexander Ward, and I am playing Edgar Lycoris, and I am a scholar doctor.
Okay, I have a lot of work to do in the laboratory. I look forward to unleashing it on you all.
I'm so excited.
Look forward to taking it.
We're all gonna die.
We'll come closer together as we slide down.
Insanity.
All right, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm very excited to play with
See
you all.
you inside the Fourth Pharaohs.
Oof.